Okay, this is actually the kind of part that I was looking forward to. And I said if anybody has any questions, I would make a video and try to answer their question to as best as I could. And this is at JZ_MZF. It's from 8 hours ago. And the question is, I have a question. After everything you've experienced, would you say it pointed you toward a specific religion? If so, which one? And do you consider yourself religious now? I'm going to come back to that. I've come across many stories about near-death experiences and even studied them a bit as a personal interest. I've noticed that more often than not, people don't come out of the experience tied to any particular religion. I'm curious if that's been the case for you as well. Whatever your answer is, thank you for being open enough to share your journey. It's helping more people than you probably realize. I appreciate your kind words. I don't know if it's going to help anybody. That's not what I was doing with it. But I have some type of ability that I guess this experience was trying to show me that I'm born with. And I suppressed it a long time with the pain meds, which I got rid of those like 2012, long time ago. But I was always a drinker, that whole... that Scots-Irish mentality, which I come from a Scots-Irish family of, at the end of the day, you need a couple beers, you've earned it. But once I stopped drinking completely, I kind of plugged into this universal knowledge, and anything that I wonder about, that I truly, deeply, worry or wonder about, it's crazy because he'll lay it out for me, and he'll put it out in terms that I totally understand. And for a long time, I drove myself crazy with the religious thing. And this was while I was still under the pain medication and all that. And I gave up on it. I can say this about religion. The three major religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, they all they're hitting on the same thing. I get these comparisons that just pop up and they hit me in the head like a dinger going off like ding. And I heard one comparison one time. It was, and I didn't say this, so don't anybody get insulted that I came up with this, because this is another person that said this, and I researched what they said, and he actually wrote it in a 1991 book, studying all the religions and where they came from. And it was a guy named Michael Crichton or Michael Crichton. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's Michael and Crichton. Michael Crichton. Anyway, in his novel, he wrote that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all like three very popular girls in high school, and they all showed up to prom wearing the same dress, which I guess what he was trying to get at is very catty, very rude and combative towards each other. Like the popular girls in high school. Can you imagine if they all showed up to prom wearing the same dress? Like, I can't believe that bitch did that, They, studying all the three religions, they've got it right. One thing that God laid on my heart was, and he did this comparison right here, explaining religion to me. Religion is like that, I forget, it was called, some people called it grapevine, and some people called it telephone. I don't know if it's or anything else, but it's that game in elementary school that they play where the teacher writes down a saying on a piece of paper, and she folds it up, and she puts it in her pocket, and she whispers in one kid's ear what she said. And then that kid whispers it in the next kid's ear. And then that kid whispers it in the next kid's ear. And by the time it gets around through 25, 30 people, it's completely different. It's completely different than what the teacher whispered. And she pulls out the paper and says, see, this is how that worked. This is how rumors start. Religion is a lot like that. Because there's only one. There's only one creator. I think all the three religions, they have it right. They just give these creators different names. And could you imagine that, not just with 25, 30 kids, but could you imagine that over thousands and thousands of years? You know, there's thousands and thousands of religion, and that's where it came from. That was the way it was described to me, and that's what made me understand it. That's what God had to let me know. He also let me know when God put that comparison and gave me that download information, God also informed me that over these thousands of years, there were governments, and there were ruling factions, and they used this religion to control their people. Because if you're a man of God and you're standing before your ruler and you said, no, I'm not going to do this, God says it's not right, you know, then they can right then, they can say, well, we could kill you. And then if you're really stout in your faith, you'll say, well, it doesn't matter because I know where I'm going anyway. God's got me under control. So now if those ruling factions, if they can write in there, okay, not only are we going to kill you for this, but you're also going to hell. It's a good way of controlling people. I've always hoped that maybe one day I could be used as a bridge to bridge all these different religions in, and you know, make them understand each other and make them understand that, dude, you're all arguing about the same thing, just written in different names. You know, I know there's a lot of the New Age stuff gets it right, but what the New Age thing doesn't cover is there's some dark forces at work. There's some very dark forces at work. And once I did get sober up, I found myself under like real deal, like demonic attack. And it scared the shit out of me. Like everything that everybody talks about, like the sleep paralysis, all that. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you call it the devil. I understand what demons are. They're parasites. But like the New Age stuff, they don't, and a lot of other religions, they don't ever like cover or want to talk about that really dark force at work. Whatever it is that makes people trip out and do bad things, and you know, makes people want to like do demonic attacks. And so I learned how to bust through that sleep paralysis. And there's something about the name Jesus Christ. When you're under a demonic attack like that and you got the sleep paralysis going, if you can utter the words or just put it in your head, Jesus Christ, it will stop. The word Jesus Christ, it stops it dead in its tracks. It's crazy. And I actually like did some research on that and looking up through like pagan religions and black magic and white magic religions. They have like footnotes of like, hey, if you're ever under demonic attack and it won't stop, just say Jesus Christ. And that kind of tripped me out, because I was like, oh, so even in like, you know, black, white magic, pagan religions, they have the word Jesus Christ as a failsafe in case you're in big trouble. So I don't know what it is about those words. I understand who Jesus is and what Jesus was. I could do an hour about that, what Jesus and Christ is and what all that means. But did I point towards any religion? No, they're pretty much they got it right. And everything else in there was put in by these government or these ruling factions to control the people. But, yeah, Allah was great. Christ was great. You know, Yahweh was great. And maybe it's just one guy with three different names. I mean, we'll never know. But the main thing that I've learned is just be a good person, have good intentions. It doesn't matter what you say. It matters what your intentions are with those words. What emotion did you put behind those words? That's what matters. So be a good person. Prayer absolutely works. Yeah, just be a good person. Have good intentions. Respect everybody's religions and respect other people. And I think you'll be all right.